There's more devastation and gut-wrenching grief today in Romania following a deadly fire at a nightclub in Bucharest. At least 27 people were killed and nearly 200 injured when the special effects at a concert apparently sparked a fire. Barry Peterson has the story.
Imagine the crowd's roar, the lights blinding the performers, their energy electrifying the stage. But what happens when the unthinkable occurs? The unexpected, the unimaginable, when a performer suddenly collapses or vanishes right before our eyes, leaving us stunned, unsure of what we just witnessed. Over the years, countless beloved stars, from actors to musicians, have tragically passed away while doing what they loved most, performing. Their last moments, captured live for the world to see, are now etched in history. This is a list of 30 performers and actors who tragically died while live on stage. 1. Bruce Lee, July 20th, 1973. Let's start off with someone we all know. Bruce Lee, the legendary martial artist, actor, and philosopher, died unexpectedly at the age of 32 on July 20th, 1973. While working on a film in Hong Kong, Lee collapsed, and the official cause of death was later determined to be cerebral edema, or swelling of the brain. Though the circumstances surrounding his death have been the subject of much speculation, it is believed that it could have been triggered by a reaction to a painkiller Lee had taken earlier. Lee's death shocked the world, as he had been a cultural icon and a symbol of strength, discipline, and self-mastery. Could his death have been caused by his intense training regimen, or was it just a tragic accident that ended the life of one of the most influential figures in modern martial arts? 2. Brandon Lee, March 31st, 1993. Brandon Lee, the son of the legendary Bruce Lee, tragically died while filming The Crow on March 31st, 1993. During a scene where his character was shot, a prop gun that was supposed to fire blanks accidentally discharged a real bullet fragment, which lodged in his abdomen. Despite being rushed to the hospital and undergoing surgery, Brandon Lee succumbed to his injuries hours later. His tragic death, which occurred on the set of his breakout film, raised questions about the safety protocols on movie sets and the dangers of using prop weapons. Brandon Lee, who was on the verge of becoming a major action star, was taken far too soon. Could the accident have been prevented with better safety measures? Or was it simply an unavoidable tragedy that claimed the life of a young star with so much potential? 3. Tim Bergling Avicii, April 20th, 2018. Tim Bergling, better known by his stage name Avicii, was a Swedish DJ and music producer who revolutionized the EDM scene. Known for his chart-topping hits like Wake Me Up and Levels, Avicii was adored by millions of fans worldwide. However, on April 20th, 2018, the music world was rocked when news broke that Avicii had tragically passed away at the age of 28 while in Muscat, Oman. His death was later ruled as a self-injury, though there were no signs of foul play. Avicii's passing left fans and colleagues devastated, as he had seemingly just begun to experience the full potential of his musical career. His struggles with mental health and the pressures of the music industry had been well documented, but his sudden death came as a shock. Was this the result of a long-brewing crisis that had been hidden from the public eye, or did it reflect the darker side of fame? Regardless of the circumstances, the music world lost a brilliant, young talent whose music would continue to resonate long after his untimely passing. 4. Waqin Rodrigo, March 6, 1999. Waqin Rodrigo, one of the most influential Spanish composers of the 20th century, passed away on March 6, 1999, during a live performance in Spain. Rodrigo, who was blind from a young age, gained international acclaim for his Concierto de Aranjuez, a guitar concerto that remains one of the most iconic pieces in classical music. His compositions were deeply rooted in Spanish musical traditions, and his works often reflected the culture and history of his homeland. Rodrigo was performing at a concert in his later years, with the famous Concierto de Aranjuez being part of the program. However, during the performance, he suddenly collapsed at the piano. Despite immediate medical attention and being rushed to the hospital, Rodrigo tragically passed away from a heart attack. The audience, initially unaware of the severity of the situation, was left in shocked silence as the gravity of the loss became clear. 5. Tommy Cooper, April 15, 1984. Known for his comedic physical acts, Tommy Cooper collapsed during a live television broadcast in 1984, confusing the audience who thought it was part of his act. As he clutched his chest and fell, it became clear he was in trouble. Medics rushed him behind the scenes, but Cooper was pronounced dead shortly after being taken to the hospital. The audience, still unaware, was left in shock. What happened that night in 1984? A man known for making people laugh suddenly lost his life in front of millions. The tragic reality behind the curtain wasn't known to the audience, leaving them in shock as they slowly realized the laughter had masked something far darker. Was Cooper's tragic end just an unfortunate twist of fate, or a reminder of how fragile life truly is, even for those who bring us joy? 6. Mitsuharu Misawa, June 13, 2009. Wrestling legend. Mitsuharu Misawa was in the middle of a tag match when a suplex went horribly wrong, leaving him collapsed and unresponsive in the ring. The live audience and viewers at home were unaware that this wasn't part of the show. Despite medical efforts, Misawa was declared dead shortly after. The wrestling world lost one of its brightest stars that day. Misawa's death in the ring wasn't just the loss of a champion wrestler, it was the end of an era. The crowd in Hiroshima had no idea that the man who had made them cheer so many times would never walk out of that ring alive. His passing was a devastating reminder of how dangerous the world of professional wrestling can be, even for those as tough as him. Was this the unfortunate culmination of a career filled with physical risks, or a cruel reminder that, no matter how strong, we're all vulnerable? 7. Steve Irwin, September 4, 2006. While filming Ocean's Deadliest, Steve Irwin was struck by a stingray, its barb piercing his chest fatally. Though his crew tried to revive him, Irwin died at 44. His sudden death left fans devastated, questioning whether his dangerous profession had been too risky or if it was just a cruel twist of fate. Steve Irwin didn't just entertain millions, he brought people closer to the wild and taught us about the creatures he so loved. But was his death, struck down by one of nature's most peaceful creatures, the ultimate irony? Irwin's death shattered the world's perception of him as invincible. Was he just a man dedicated to his cause? Or had his devotion ultimately led him to his untimely end? His passion was unparalleled, but was it also the very reason his life was cut short? 8. Karl Wallenda, March 22, 1978. At 73, high-wire artist Karl Wallenda was still performing death-defying stunts. While crossing a tightrope between two towers, a gust of wind caused him to lose balance and fall to his death. His tragic accident, captured on film, reminded the world of the dangers behind such high-risk performances. Karl Wallenda had spent decades walking the thin line between life and death, and on that fateful day, it finally gave way beneath him. He had lived for the thrill of the high wire, pushing himself to perform stunts few others dared attempt. But in the end, was this his inevitable fate? After a lifetime of defying gravity, did the universe decide it was time for the greatest performer to fall? His death left the world questioning not just the risks of high-wire acts, but the limits of human endurance and the price of living on the edge. 9. Pedro Henrique, December 13, 2023. Pedro Henrique, a 30-year-old Brazilian gospel singer, tragically passed away on December 13, 2023, after collapsing on stage during a live performance in Feira de Santana, Bahia. The incident occurred while he was passionately singing his song Vai Ser Tão Lindo at a religious event that was being broadcast online. As he engaged with the audience, he suddenly lost his balance and fell backward, leading to immediate concern among attendees. Despite efforts to revive him, he was pronounced dead at a local medical clinic due to a massive heart attack. Henrique's death shocked the gospel music community, where he was known for his soulful voice and heartfelt lyrics. He had been a member of the band Sing Out, and later pursued a solo career, releasing several albums under the Toda Music label. His music, characterized by contemporary Christian themes and Brazilian rhythms, resonated with many fans, both in Brazil and internationally. 10. Valencia Prime, September 12, 2022. Philadelphia drag performer. Valencia Prime collapsed during her show Prime Time and was later pronounced dead at the hospital due to cardiovascular disease. The sudden loss of the 25-year-old, beloved for her vibrant energy, devastated the LGBTQ+ community. Her passing raised questions about health risks often overlooked by performers. Valencia Prime was the shining star of every show she graced, her energy contagious and her presence undeniable. But behind the glam and the performances, what pressures were hidden? Her untimely death sent shockwaves through the community, revealing just how much was often left unseen behind the spotlight. Was it possible that years of overlooked health risks contributed to her sudden collapse? Or was it just a tragic fluke that cut her promising career and life short? 11. Colonel Bruce Hampton, May 1, 2017. On May 1, 2017, Colonel Bruce Hampton was celebrating his 70th birthday with an iconic jam session in Atlanta, Georgia. The concert featured a star-studded lineup of musicians who had shared the stage with Hampton throughout his illustrious career. Known for blending humor with his musical performances, Hampton's antics were as legendary as his musical talent. But in the middle of the high-energy jam session, something extraordinary happened. As Hampton rested his arm on a speaker, the audience initially thought it was just another part of his theatrical performance. However, the laughter soon died down when it became apparent that Hampton was in distress. Medical personnel rushed to his side, but it was too late. Hampton, who had been known for his unpredictable stage persona and his significant contributions to the jam band scene, was pronounced dead shortly after being transported to the hospital. His passing was a somber reminder of how unpredictable life can be, even for someone so filled with vitality. Was his sudden death just a cruel twist of fate, or a warning about the toll that a lifetime of performing can take? 12. Barbara Weldens, July 19, 2017. Barbara Weldens, a rising star in the French music scene, had already made a mark with her captivating voice and evocative songwriting. On July 19, 2017, she was performing at the Leo Fair Festival in Gordons, France, when a shocking tragedy occurred. As Weldens sang barefoot on stage, a faulty electrical connection caused a fatal shock, knocking her unconscious and collapsing her on stage in front of her audience. Despite immediate attempts to revive her, the 35-year-old singer was pronounced dead at the scene. Weldens had only recently released her debut album, and her passing came as a devastating blow to the music community. Her fans, who had been moved by her soulful performances, were left in disbelief. How could someone so full of potential be gone so suddenly? Was this a mere accident, or a reflection of the unseen dangers lurking behind the scenes of live performances? 13. Juan Jumalan, November 5, 2023. Juan Jumalan, a beloved Filipino radio personality known for his light-hearted and cheerful broadcasts, was tragically killed during a live show. On November 5, 2023, as Jumalan was doing what he did best, spreading joy over the airwaves, the unthinkable happened. Two assailants, who had entered the station under the pretense of returning lost belongings, held a staff member at gunpoint, while one of them stormed the radio booth and shot Jumalan twice. The entire attack was broadcast live on Facebook, shocking listeners and viewers alike. Though immediate medical attention was given, Jumalan died from his injuries. His untimely death sparked outrage, with tributes pouring in from all corners of the Philippines. The man who had made millions of people laugh each day had been taken away in an instant. Could the senseless violence have been prevented? Or was his fate sealed by the unpredictable nature of life itself? 14. S.B. Hashian, March 22, 2017. On March 22, 2017, S.B. Hashian, the legendary drummer for the rock band Boston, was performing aboard the Legends of Rock cruise when tragedy struck. Known for his powerful drumming on iconic albums like Boston and Don't Look Back, Hashian was a key part of the band's signature sound. But on that fateful night, while performing with his fellow musicians, Hashian suddenly collapsed on stage. Medical personnel rushed to his side, but despite their best efforts, Hashian was pronounced dead shortly thereafter. The cause of his death was later revealed to be complications from kidney cancer, which he had been battling in the months leading up to his passing. His sudden death during a live performance left fans and the rock community in shock. Was his battle with illness something fans had missed? Or was this a cruel reminder that even the most enduring rock legends aren't immune to the realities of life? 15. Dick Shawn, April 17, 1987. Dick Shawn was known for his eccentric and unpredictable comedic style, making him a staple in television and film. On April 17, 1987, Shawn was performing a comedy routine at the University of California, San Diego, when tragedy struck. As he delivered his jokes, he suddenly collapsed in front of the audience. At first, the crowd believed it was part of his act. After all, his humor often involved moments of absurdity. But when Shawn remained motionless, it became clear that something was terribly wrong. Shawn had suffered a heart attack on stage and was rushed to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead shortly after. The unexpected nature of his death, coupled with the fact that it occurred during a live performance, shocked both his fans and the comedy world. Could anyone have predicted that this vibrant comedian would leave us in the blink of an eye? Or was it just fate's cruel joke? 16. Lillian Harden, Armstrong, August 27, 1971. Lillian Harden. Armstrong was not just the second wife of the legendary Louis Armstrong. She was a formidable jazz pianist, composer, and bandleader in her own right. On August 27, 1971, Armstrong performed at a televised memorial concert for her late husband. But as she sat at the piano, something tragic occurred. Without warning, Armstrong collapsed, succumbing to a heart attack. The audience, initially unsure if this was part of her performance, soon realized the gravity of the situation. Armstrong was rushed to the hospital, but she was pronounced dead on the way. At the age of 73, she had been an instrumental force in shaping the world of jazz. Her death marked the loss of a woman whose talents had shaped generations. But was this the result of years of performing, or simply an unexpected health issue? Was the weight of the moment too much for her to bear? Or was it just a cruel twist of fate? 17. KK, May 31st, 2022. Indian singer Krishna Kumar Kunath, known by the stage name of KK, the beloved Indian playback singer, was known for his soulful and emotive voice that resonated across Bollywood, leaving an indelible mark on the music industry. He had charmed millions with his songs, from Tup Tup to Dil Dahadakne Do. On May 31st, 2022, K was performing at a concert at the Nazrul Mancha Auditorium in Kolkata, where he collapsed suddenly on stage. Fans, initially thinking it was part of the performance, were horrified when it became clear that the 54-year-old singer had passed away. Despite being rushed to a nearby hospital, KK was declared dead upon arrival due to a cardiac arrest. His unexpected death rocked the Indian music community and his countless fans worldwide. He was an artist who had transcended regional boundaries, with his voice becoming a symbol of Bollywood music. Could anyone have predicted that a man who had sung for so many moments of love, joy, and heartbreak would leave us so suddenly? Or was his death just a tragic reminder of how fleeting life can be? 18. Costa Titch, March 11th, 2023. Costa Titch, the South African rapper and dancer, was known for his electrifying stage presence and dynamic performances. On March 11, 2023, during his set at the Ultra South Africa Music Festival in Johannesburg, Titch collapsed twice on stage. Initially, the crowd was unsure of what was happening, with some assuming it was part of his high-energy act. But when Titch collapsed for a second time, it became clear that something far more serious was at play. Despite quick medical intervention and efforts to revive him, Costa Titch was pronounced dead shortly after. The cause of his death remains uncertain, with speculations about a possible seizure circulating. The music world was left in disbelief. How could someone who had so much life and energy suddenly be gone? Was there a deeper medical issue at play? Or was it just a tragic fluke in the middle of his performance? 19. Papa Wemba, April 24, 2016. Papa Wemba, the legendary Congolese musician who pioneered the soukous genre, was performing at the Femua Music Festival in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, on April 24, 2016, when tragedy struck. The 66-year-old icon, who had spent decades blending traditional African rhythms with modern sounds, was in the midst of a performance when he suddenly collapsed on stage. At first, many thought it was part of the show, but it quickly became apparent that something was seriously wrong. Despite immediate attempts by medical staff to revive him, Wemba was pronounced dead shortly after his fall. His sudden passing left a massive void in the African music scene, as he had been a key figure in popularizing Congolese music worldwide. His death was a harsh reminder that even the most indomitable figures in music aren't immune to the fragility of life. Could this loss have been avoided, or was it simply fate catching up to a man who had given his all to the stage? 20. Goodbye to Gravity, October 30th, 2015. Goodbye to Gravity, a Romanian metal band, faced one of the most horrifying tragedies in recent rock history. On October 30th, 2015, during the release concert for their new album, the band's pyrotechnic display ignited the club's soundproofing foam. The resulting fire spread rapidly, causing panic and chaos as fans scrambled to escape. Tragically, 64 people lost their lives in the disaster, including 4 band members: Vlad Tlea, Mii Alexandre, Bogdan Inashi, and Alex Pasu. The fire and stampede that followed sparked protests over Romania's lax safety regulations and corruption in the entertainment industry. Goodbye to Gravity had been on the brink of a breakthrough, with their music resonating with fans across Romania. The tragedy turned what should have been a celebration of their music into a national mourning. Was the band's fate sealed by the pyrotechnic show? Or was this a result of neglectful practices that put everyone at risk? 21. Irma Bule, April 4, 2016. Irma Bule was a daring Indonesian dangdut singer, famous for incorporating cobras into her performances. On April 4, 2016, during a live performance in Kowang, West Java, Irma was performing with a king cobra around her neck, a trademark element of her acts. Tragically, the snake, which had been used many times before in her shows, bit her during the performance. Initially, Irma didn't believe the venom would have any serious effect, but soon after, she collapsed, realizing the gravity of the situation. Despite being rushed to the hospital, Irma Bule was pronounced dead shortly thereafter. Her death sparked debates over the dangers of animal captivity and trainer safety, as well as the ethical concerns surrounding using animals in performance. Could her tragic death have been prevented? Was it a reckless decision to continue her shows with a dangerous animal, or was it just another unforeseeable moment in her daring career? Tiny Tim, November 30th, 1996. Tiny Tim, the eccentric American singer known for his falsetto voice and ukulele performances, had captured the hearts of millions with his quirky persona. On November 30th, 1996, during a gala benefit in Minneapolis, Tiny Tim was performing his iconic song, Tiptoe Through the Tulips. As he sang, his voice cut through the air in its unique, unmistakable falsetto. But then, disaster struck. Tim suffered a heart attack live on stage, collapsing in front of the stunned audience. Despite being rushed to the hospital, Tiny Tim was pronounced dead shortly after. The man who had brought joy to so many with his peculiar charm was gone in an instant. Fans, still trying to process the loss, couldn't help but wonder, could this have been prevented? Or was this simply the tragic end of a life that had always been lived on its own terms? 23. Christina Grimmie, June 10, 2016. Christina Grimmie, a talented singer who had gained fame as a contestant on The Voice, was tragically murdered on June 10, 2016, after a concert in Orlando, Florida. She had been signing autographs for her fans when a gunman approached her and shot her at close range. The moment was captured on video, sending shockwaves across the world. Despite immediate medical attention, Christina succumbed to her injuries, and the attacker, who was tackled by Christina's brother, later took his own life. The world mourned the loss of the 22-year-old singer, who had so much promise and potential. Christina had been on the verge of stardom, with her raw talent and warm heart endearing her to fans everywhere. Could anyone have foreseen such a horrific tragedy? Or was it simply an act of senseless violence that robbed the world of a bright star? 24. Dimebag Darrell, December 8, 2004. Dimebag Darrell, the legendary guitarist for Pantera and Damage Plan, was known for his electrifying performances and groundbreaking contributions to heavy metal music. On December 8, 2004, during a live performance in Columbus, Ohio, Darrell was tragically killed when a gunman rushed the stage and opened fire. The assailant shot Darrell multiple times, killing him instantly, and also killed 3 others before being taken down by a police officer. The shooting occurred mid-performance. A moment that should have been a celebration of music turned into a horrific and violent tragedy. Dimebag's untimely death shook the metal world to its core, as he had been one of the most influential guitarists of his time. 25. Owen Hart, May 23, 1999. Owen Hart, a well-known WWE wrestler, tragically lost his life during a live pay-per-view event called Over the Edge in Kansas City. Hart was performing a stunt where he was supposed to descend into the ring from the rafters using a harness and grapple line. However, something went wrong during the stunt, and Hart fell approximately 78 feet, landing in the ring in front of thousands of horrified fans. Medical personnel immediately rushed to the scene, but despite their best efforts, Hart succumbed to his injuries. The incident was never fully released by WWE, but the tragic event left an indelible mark on the world of professional wrestling. Could the stunt have been done more safely? Or was it simply the risks of the business that led to such an awful tragedy? 26. Red Fox, October 11, 1991. Red Fox, the beloved comedian known for his iconic role on the TV show Sanford and Son, suffered a heart attack while rehearsing a scene for the royal family, a show he had returned to after a long absence from television. On October 11, 1991, as he was working on set, Fox suddenly collapsed. His castmates, assuming it was part of his comedic antics, initially laughed, but soon realized something was terribly wrong. Fox was rushed to the hospital, but he was pronounced dead shortly afterward. He was 68 years old, and his death, particularly on the set of a beloved show, shocked the entertainment world. Was Fox's sudden heart attack a result of the stress of his career, or was it simply a cruel turn of fate for one of the most iconic comedians in television history? 27. Dawn Brancho, February 24, 2010. Dawn Brancho was an experienced trainer at SeaWorld Orlando, known for her work with Tilikum, a killer whale that had previously been involved in several incidents. On February 24, 2010, during a routine interaction with Tilikum, the whale unexpectedly grabbed Brancho and dragged her underwater. Despite the frantic rescue efforts by fellow trainers and staff, Brancho tragically died from her injuries. This incident, which was witnessed by the audience, sparked intense debates about the ethics of animal captivity and trainer safety. Brancho had been a dedicated trainer, but her tragic death served as a grim reminder of the dangers of working with such powerful animals. 28. Silver King, May 11, 2019. Silver King, the famous Mexican wrestler and actor, passed away during a live wrestling match at the Roundhouse venue in Camden, London. On May 11, 2019, while performing in the ring, King suddenly collapsed. The audience initially thought it was part of the show, but as it became clear that something was terribly wrong, medical staff rushed to his side. Despite their best efforts, Silver King was pronounced dead shortly afterward. His tragic death at the age of 51 was a shocking moment in the wrestling world, and fans, who had cheered for him throughout his career, were left reeling. Was his collapse related to the physical toll that years of wrestling had taken on his body, or was it just another tragic, unpredictable moment in the chaotic world of live performance? 29. Nick Mensah, May 21, 2016. Nick Mensah, the former drummer for the iconic thrash metal band Megadeth, collapsed on stage during a performance with his band Ohm at a club in Los Angeles. Mensah, who had been in the spotlight for decades, was known for his powerful drumming and contributions to Megadeth's groundbreaking albums. On that fateful night, while performing, Mensah suddenly fell, and despite efforts to revive him, he was pronounced dead at the scene. At 51, Mensah's passing shocked the metal community, especially since he had just been reuniting with former Megadeth bandmates. The cause of death was later confirmed to be a heart attack. Was this the result of years of physical strain from drumming, or was it just an unfortunate twist of fate that stole another legend too soon? 30. Juan Carlos Formel, May 26, 2023. Juan Carlos Formel, an acclaimed Cuban musician, collapsed while performing in the Bronx, New York, at the age of 59. Known for his groundbreaking work as a composer and performer in the Cuban music scene, Formel had been performing for decades, winning hearts with his exceptional talent. His death on stage came as a shock to fans and fellow musicians, and the cause was later determined to be a fatal heart attack. The world of Latin music was left in mourning, as Formel had been an influential figure in bringing Cuban rhythms to international audiences. It's hard to imagine the shock and heartbreak these performers left behind. Their sudden departures remind us just how precious life is, and how fleeting these moments on stage can be. But even in their passing, their work continues to inspire and connect us. If this video hit you in the feels, don't forget to hit that like button, share with someone who needs to hear these stories, and subscribe for more. Which story stood out to you the most? Drop a comment below, and let's keep the conversation going.